Good evening, and welcome to Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. I'm Michelle McDaniel with the League of Houston Women, with Houston League of Women Voters. On this broadcast, we have one candidate for Harris County Judge, and we are going to ask questions so we can learn a little bit more about him, and his positions on the issues affecting Harris County and the Commissioner's Court. I'd like to welcome all of you to Conversations with the Candidates with the Houston League of Women Voters. Our candidate that's with us this evening is Nofal Hujimi. Hujimi.
Thank you.
Please forgive me for my...
No worries.
I wrote it down that way. So we're going to start with him, and for each question, he'll have 2 to 3 minutes to answer. And so we're just going to have a conversation, and you're going to tell us, you're going to just tell us. So first question is, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me. I want to also thank my friend Dr. Pruis and the League of Women Voters for inviting me for the second time. My first time was back in 2019 when I did run for mayor of Houston. My name is Nofal Hujimi, very simple to pronounce. The most important, I am a family man with my wife and my 4 children, ages between 7 to 18 years old, who all born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome.
I am over 25 years of experience as an entrepreneur, as a politician. I have been involved with both sides, Republicans and Democrats. I am a former Texas chairman of the Modern Week Party. I am a former National Executive Committee vice chairman of the Modern Week Party. We had over 55,000 of veterans in that time. I am a U.S. national security strategist, a member of the Center of Strategic and International Studies in Washington. I am an inventor, an author, a composer. I have a master's degree in risk management and strategy, and I'm running for Harris County Judge as an independent write-in candidate, which means you have to write my name on the machine where you're going to be voting. I'm the only one in 100 years history doing this.
Wow.
Yeah, there's nobody ever run independent and writing candidate for Harris County Judge. So I already make the history to just do it.
Yeah, you've already made history.
Yes, ma'am. So when you go to the voting machine, there is a paper with the write-in candidates. In the whole Texas, there are only 6 write-in candidates. I am in that list, which is taped on each voting machine. You can see the names. I'm the last one, Nofal Hujimi. So when you go to the voting machine, it's between the page 55 to 60, where is the race of the Harris County judges. I'm the 3rd. You hit it, and then you just tape my name. You can see it there, Nofal Hujimi. And please make sure you double check my name.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm asking also for your vote humbly, because I want to be your truly public servants. Thank you.
That's well said.
Thank you.
So why is the Harris County Commissioner's Court important to you, and what made you decide to seek a seat as a county judge?
Harris County is at war, and the majority of Harris County residents, they are not voting because the incompetent Lina, Hidalgo, and other commissioners' court who turned the commissioner court to a circus show. Too many innocent civilians, include kids and law enforcement officers, died because the total failure and the corrupted policy adopted by Lina, Hidalgo, and other commissioners' court. Neither Republicans or Democrats are serving the majority of Harris County residents because the Republicans are pushing to the right and the Democrats are pushing to the left, and both they forget about the center, the majority interest of Harris County residents. I am running as independent. Why I'm running as independent and why you must vote for me. If you are Republican, Democrat, or independent, I'm in the best interest for you to vote for me, because I want to bring a balance of power to the table. I am the only one who want to create a new seat in the commissioner courts. Harris County commissioners at large, for only minority to run for that position. Asian, Middle Eastern, any other minority group to run, because I'm not looking to take over the power. I'm looking to balance the power. And the last thing is, I will serve all Harris County residents, regardless of which political affiliation. I want to serve all of you because I believe every one of you in Harris County deserves an opportunity because opportunities opens doors for prosperity. Thank you.
Again, well said. I like that.
Well, I did run for mayor of Houston back in 2019, so
did.
I am determined. I want to serve the people.
You are very determined that you
I
will,
am determined.
that you will serve Harris County.
I will,
And you will do it well.
with God's witness on me.
That's right.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
So issues like flooding, public health have had a tremendous impact on Harris County in the past few years. As county judge, how will you plan for these issues going forward and work with the county commissioners to address these issues?
Let me just be clear. As a Harris County judge, as a father, it will be no mandate for the experimental vaccine COVID-19 for kids to attend school in Harris County. And that's my pledge to all of you. Let's go back to the Harris County health system. The core, I look at it deeper, I did the auditing. The core of the health of Harris County system is the gold card. This system, even decades before Lina Hidalgo take the position. The gold card is meant to give a discount to the people in Harris County, uninsured, low income, middle class. So these people, they use it to access the whole health system, and they save thousands of dollars. So Lina Hidalgo and the other commissioner, they're coming with the drama that they don't have 45 million, they're scaring people gonna die. I look at it personally, and I have a solution, very simple solution. I will create a $10 to $20 fee membership to have the gold card. Low income, you can afford it. $10 to $20, it puts us there over 55 million a year. So I already fixed the problem and the drama. That's the only thing I don't like about using an issue, politicizing an issue to get a vote. That is wrong. Harris County people went through a lot with the pandemic. We all lost someone we know.
Yes.
We lost someone we loved. So we have to come back together. People are tired of the Republican, my opponent Republican and my opponent Lina Hidalgo fighting each other using other issues that doesn't have nothing to do with Harris County. That's why they're not voting. You cannot hide the statistic. The majority are not voting. That is the truth. Let's go back to Harvey, the flooding. My family and I was in 2019 on KPRC with my friend Kimberl Marshall in an interview, and he asked me, I told him in 2019, we got hit by Harvey hurricane and nobody helped us. The JLO, Mayor Turner and Lina Hidalgo, since they are in office, they did not help people to build their houses or to fix their houses. The JLO give the money to them, they block the money because they don't want to serve the general interest. They want to serve the developer interest. They don't want people, they don't want you to get richer. They don't want you to have your houses, new houses. They don't want to do that. That's the truth. Because I've been involved with JLO directly to see what's going on. 75% with my people, with my sources, we did a search. I can take you in person. You can argue with me. I can take you after that to Sunnyside, to Acres Home. 75% of the people, they got new houses. They got help directly from the JLO after they took the money from the Harris County and the mayor. Now, they used the dilemma, drama, they took our money, they took our money. The JLO gave them the money back. I went to the details. They're misleading people. They are misleading you. The money they took, they are not giving it to you to build your house and to fix your house. No, they are putting it on the side for infrastructures. That money was created to help people. I feel sorry for, instead, when I see people still hurting right now. Blue tarp in their houses. That money supposed to go to the people to build their house. As a Harris County judge, I promise you, if you take time to go vote for me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock your door personally, and that money going to be in your pocket to build your new house and to rebuild. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Okay. So that was a very impactful statement, and that is so true. Harris
People
County,
are living in the streets.
yeah.
You can go with the camera, do your investigation. People are tired. These politicians, they already got richer. Give the people their money to build their houses. Thank you.
Okay. thank you for that. For that.
Thank
for
you.
That.
I speak from my heart.
I believe that.
And I want to serve you. I will serve you more than the Republican and more than Lina Hidalgo. Just go vote for me. You will see it. Thank you.
Those are issues that are really impacting our communities right now, and and in Harris County. So thank you.
Thank
for
you
that.
very much, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Crime in Harris County is also increasing, as it is across the country. While Houston's crime is about in the middle of the nation's largest cities, murders in the city are going up while remaining flat in the county. As county judge, what will you do to help comfort this issue, which concerns all of us?
Look, I'm a U.S. national security not by coincidence, so I cannot disclose some information. We are not in the center. We are in the top. Few months ago, the people died and killed. We surpassed Chicago. You cannot hide the fact. I have my sources inside Harris County. They gave me the numbers. Did you know that Lina Hidalgo and the sheriff, they refuse to release the statistic about the crimes in Houston and Harris County? Did you know about that? You didn't know that. They are
was not aware of that.
Yeah, I'm just telling you the facts. They are looking for excuses. But let me share with you the information today from my sources in Harris County. Right now, by October, at the end of October, we are almost 800 dead people and crimes so high than before. And I'm sure we're going to hit the record by the end, by December.
Do you think that's because of what the county experienced during COVID, or is that just overall?
I told you Harris County is at war, but let me tell you my plan to fix it. Everybody know the problems, but let me tell you my plan to fix as Harris County judge. The first thing, I'm going to fix the total failure of the bail bond reform, the one adopted by Lina and her friends. You cannot be a killer, a felon, and you get out on a bail bond. And look what happened in the TV. You cannot hide it. They are killing kids. They are killing families because the total failure of the bail bond reform. I will fix it. I don't have no problem. If you make a misdemeanor, you can get a bail bond. But why you are giving a bail bond to a felon, and most of them, you can see Crime Stoppers, they did research, they show that many of them, they kill people. So it become like a joke. They got arrested and then they come out. That's wrong. First thing, I will fix the bail reform. Two, I will fund the constables, the law enforcement. We have the money. I will talk about the budget when I have chance. We do have the money to give the money to the constables to do their job. They are just using it to scare you, scaring tactics. I will fix that problem. Three, we have a problem, backlog of cases. For 1-2 years, everybody has an excuse of the COVID-19. People staying at home, we don't want to work because of the COVID-19. Now the crime is because of the COVID. I don't think so. We have the money. My other solution is I will build a bigger court and we're going to hire more people. Did you know that Lina and her friend are spending millions of dollars outsourcing, bringing people from all over to come here to do the job? We have high talented people here to do the job. And I'm going to hire you. I'm going to build you a bigger court. That way we don't have this backlog. The fourth thing is very important is I have been talking about this since I was running for mayor in 2019. We need to build a bigger prison. Let me tell you why. And this is our facts. They cannot hide it. Did you know that Lina Hidalgo and the sheriff, they are paying millions of dollars to outsourcing to another prison, especially in Lubbock? They are paying millions of dollars because they don't have space for the criminal. Why you are wasting that millions? I will build a bigger prison in Harris County to save money actually to the budget. The last part, I just want to say the last part is very important. People see me like I'm a military mind, but no, I'm not a military mind. I believe in second chance. If you are a criminal, I want to get the public sector, the banks, the non-profit organization to get involved, to give you a program so you can get involved to have another chance.
And you mentioned a very good point. So before we run out of time, the county budget will be an issue. You already know that. You just said that.
I will discuss it.
The inability to vote on the budget affects the tax rates, and the county is expected to face some economic challenges. As county judge, how will you address these challenges?
Well, the first thing I told you about the drama of the budget is the 45 million. I already find the solution for that drama, so how we can fix it. But let me tell you something. I have over 22 years of experience, risk management, auditing, management control, strategy. I went to audit that, I look at to that budget of Harris County. Let me tell you, Harris County was the problem. We don't have a deficit problem. We have a waste of money problem by Lina, Hidalgo, and other commissioners since they take over the commissioner courts. And let me give you an example. I looked to the public records in Harris County. There were too many contracts of consulting something we don't need. Any employee in Harris County can do that consulting for free because they already got paid. They are paying millions of dollars outside all over to Texas. And the last example is the corrupted $11 million contract to the one person that three of the closest advisor to Lina Hidalgo, they were indicted by felony, and they are still investigating to see the connection of Lina Hidalgo. And the worst part of that, I don't know if you know about this one. Did you know that even they canceled the 11 million contracts, they pay already $1,400,000 advance pay to the person, and they did not receive it. So I want to tell to Lina, hey, Lina, where is the $1,400,000? When are we going to get it back? Because we have a deficit right now. You said deficit. So we need the $1,400,000. Let me move to the last step, which is about the taxes. There is a confusion about lowering the rate taxes. See, the problem is the appraisal. I got people calling me. They're telling me, hey, our value of our houses and it went double. So even if you lower, as people are, the one in the commission, they keep misleading people. Are we going to lower your taxes? They are not lowering your taxes because they're going to charge you on the new appraisal. So you're always paying more money, you don't know what's the problem. As a Harris County judge, I will put a flat rate tax so the appraisal can go higher, but you're not going to keep paying the percentage on the appraisal. This is a very good idea. So please vote for me, no Falujami, and thank you very much because I want to help you. Thank you.
Wow, you have really shared some powerful statements, and so we appreciate you for being here. We wish you success on this election, and so we just want to say thank you on behalf of the League President.
Yes, ma'am.
We want to say thank you for sharing in this day with us. And so the League of Women Voters extended invitations to all the candidates for Harris County Judge. And you, sir, were the only candidate.
Thank you very much. I will appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
another time. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Got a mic on.
Oh. And so with the extension of extending the interview to all other candidates, Mr. Norfolk was the only candidate to come in person. Ms. Hidalgo has a pre-recorded interview, and we'd like to share that with you now.
Lina Hidalgo, thank you very much for being with us here on Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. So the League of Women Voters has several questions we'd like to ask you so that voters can educate themselves a little bit more about all the candidates so they can make informed decisions. It's a long ballot this time around, so there's a lot of names, but you're a name that most people know. But would you please tell us, for those who may not know much about you and your background, tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
I'm Lina Hidalgo. I'm your Harris County judge. I was born in Colombia during the drug war, so I understand the importance of public safety, and that's why my parents and I left Colombia and ultimately settled in this region. I started my career working on issues of democracy, freedom of expression, transparency, accountability, and I'm one of the women that in 2016, after Donald Trump was elected, decided to run for office. I figured if he can do it, why can't I? And I was absolutely appalled at the kind of divisiveness and rhetoric that he was perpetuating. My vision always my North Star as county judge has been putting people first, ahead of anything else, certainly ahead of politics, and prioritizing the community over ideology, prioritizing the interests of the community over the interests of anybody who might want to try to buy influence in county government. For one, I'm the only elected official at the local level or that I know of anywhere in the country in the city or county level that doesn't take contributions from people who do business with the entity they oversee. So I don't take contributions from people who do business with the county or seek to do business with the county, in part to demonstrate and really keep to that commitment of the community always comes first.
Well, thank you very much. So let me ask you, we're asking all candidates this, why is Harris County Commissioner's Court important to you, and what made you decide to become county judge?
Look, I launched the campaign early August, I think it was like August 1st of 2017. So by that point, I'd lived through the Memorial Day flood and the tax day flood. Obviously, Ike was more of a wind event. And I wondered why more was not being done on flood control if we knew we were so vulnerable to flooding. Of course, we all know what happened a few weeks after that is Hurricane Harvey. And flood control was not the only issue where the county was falling behind under this extreme version of limited government and kind of parochial system where Harris County was being run like a small town from the past century. We had a county where pollution control was outsourced to the polluters themselves. If folks remember during the ITC fire, the county didn't have an air monitoring system. We just come into office and we cobbled it together because we couldn't possibly accept the air monitoring and air quality readings from the polluter. It was a county where criminal justice policy was determined based on ideology, whatever the NRA and the gun lobby and all of these folks wanted to see, as opposed to what actually made a difference. And then, of course, flood control was set by the developers. For a very long time, folks were afraid to take on the developers in Harris County. So that's what we're working on. We found a county that is so prosperous. It's done so much for me and my family. I decided to run because I love this community, because we came in search of the American dream and we literally lived it. But it's also a county where the life expectancy varies by 20 years, sometimes 30 years, depending on what zip code you live in. And so that's why we've invested more in public health. It's a community where we have an opportunity to do something on housing. And so we've been able to decrease homelessness by 20%. It's a community where folks were not supporting our veterans to the extent that we should. So we've doubled the budget for veteran services. I'm very proud of everything we've accomplished, from largest investment ever in early childhood education to the tune of $60 million, environmental protection, support for small businesses, working, of course, on the energy transition, on transportation. There's just so much to be done to make sure that our community remains strong and competitive. It's a beautiful and diverse community. I'm proud to represent it, and the vision that I saw at the time, that we could really make a positive difference and reflect the values and the priorities of the community, not just sort of this very narrow version of what county government should do, is something that I want to continue working on.
Thank you very much. To follow up on something you said earlier, issues like flooding and public health have been of tremendous import in Harris County in the past few years, what with the floods that you mentioned, the hurricane incidents, COVID. As county judge, how will you plan for these things going forward, these issues going forward, and how will you work with the county commissioners to address these issues?
I first want to acknowledge just how resilient our community has been, because over the past 4 years I've been in office, we've dealt with floods, we've dealt with fires, we've dealt with the pandemic, the winter freeze, and we're coming back stronger. We've got incredible job growth. We've been able to tackle the crime wave that came after COVID all over the nation. We're tackling that. So it's important to bear that in mind. On flooding, what we've done, all 181 flood bond projects have been started, and we're moving that as quickly and efficiently as humanly possible. We've worked to make creative investments to figure out what else is it going to take for us to be truly flood resilient, because that bond, it was proposed before before I took office, and it's not enough. It was not designed based on asking the question, what will it take, and then working down from there. And so that's what we're trying to do with a group that involves the community, that involves the experts. And something important that we've done is their take on the developer. So my sense is we need to continue growing, obviously. Look, I went to high school in Cypress and in Katy, and so I'm a suburbs kid. But we have to grow in a way that is smart. And if we don't, at some point, we're all out of business. And so I dared sit down with the developers and say, look, I'm going to implement the most stringent regulations that I can under the law. And that means that you're going to have to build detention basins that hold as much water as you displace when you build. Because otherwise, we're paving over the prairie and the people downstream are going to be the ones to flood. And so, we did that, and it was over the objections of some developers. And now we see developers funding my opponent's campaign to the tune of millions of dollars, personally donating. There's one that gave over $600,000 and personally raised $5 million. So that's the kind of pushback that we're seeing. And that's what I'm not scared of. And we need to continue doing and seeing what else can we do in terms of policy. And of course, I'm very proud to have worked on a bipartisan basis to bring to our community $750 million that were initially denied us by the state of Texas. So Harris County, Houston initially been promised $1 billion each in flood control funding. I worked with Commissioner George P. Bush. I worked with Secretary Fudge over in the federal government. We just signed the contract about a month ago. We're working to get the funds to the city of Houston too. On COVID and the public health side, I know better than ever, having led the response to that in the county, the importance of our public health system. And that's why this year we proposed a budget, I and my two Democratic colleagues on the commissioner's court. It was the lowest tax rate since 1991, the lowest tax rate in over 30 years. But it couldn't be any lower, because any lower than that would have meant literally defunding our public hospital system. The two Republicans on Commissioner's Court decided to boycott that budget and that vote on the tax rate cut, just to get their way, just to score political points. And so we were extremely accommodating. We held 6 different meetings that they boycotted. We offered to negotiate in public, in private. We offered a specific tax rate they'd asked for, tax rate cut, and called a separate meeting just for that one. I mean, we did everything. The head of our public hospital system begged them through tears. The CEO of the Texas Medical Center, the CEO of Baylor, Methodist, Memorial Hermann, St. Luke's, they all sent a letter asking that the appropriate tax rate cut be set, and they still refused to participate. My opponent raised no objection to their political stunt, and so now our public hospital system is $45 million in the red. We're having to cut basic services, and all of those patients now will have to go to private hospitals, which puts a burden on everyone. So, I'm going to work, if elected, and I hope win, on continuing to stay above that kind of political nonsense that ultimately hurts everybody else. And when we need that kind of commitment, and I'm very proud to not have politicized the pandemic and to have stood strong on, what the research was saying and what we best could glean was good for the community.
Hidalgo, one of the issues that has been brought up time and time again in some of the political advertising is crime in Harris County. Now, crime is increasing, but it is, as you pointed out, across the country. While Houston's crime is about the middle of the nation's largest cities, murders in the cities are going up, but remaining flat across Harris County. Now, as county judge, what will your plans be to confront this issue going forward? It's an issue that concerns us all. So how will you plan on addressing that, especially given the constraints that you mentioned a few minutes ago with the budget?
Yeah, so first, let me just issue some information, and we'll be happy to send the citations. But violent crime in Harris County is actually trending down. So there was an increase after the pandemic in Harris County, as there was everywhere else in the nation, pretty much every major jurisdiction. Now, violent crimes have decreased around 10%. That includes homicide, it includes aggravated assault, it includes rape, it includes robbery. And you'll see, the recent headlines with recent homicides. They said, there was this, but homicides actually going down? Are we where we need to be? No, we need to continue trending downwards. But what that shows is that what we're doing is working. Now, crime is a serious issue and it needs to be addressed with serious proposals. And there's some who say, well, let's just hire however many new police officers. Well, you have to realize Harris County has 450 plus fully funded but unfilled boots on the ground, fully funded positions, but we don't have police officers to take them because the pay is simply not high enough. Police officers are going to other jurisdictions where they pay more. And so what I and my Democratic colleagues proposed was a pay increase, 8.25% increase to all our frontline officers. Over the past 4 years, every single year, we've increased the budget for the DA, for all 8 constables, and for the sheriff. We've increased the funding for the district clerk. We've worked to tackle our criminal court backlog. It's back down to 2020 levels, crime, as I said, going down, and really looking at what actually solves the problem. So in this sense, my opponent in some ways is a criminal justice dinosaur in the sense that we've tried the policies of the 80s and the 90s, right, of sort of locking up everyone. And that's what led to mass incarceration and the United States literally incarcerating more people, more individual people than China, even though we have much fewer people. And it hasn't made us safer. And so we've invested not just in working towards salary increases, but also working toward micro-targeting of the areas that see the most crime, mental health, diversion programs, efforts to interrupt gun violence, stop that tit for tat between gangs, efforts to remove unlawful weapons from the streets, and all of that daring to talk about the fact that guns play a large role. The percentage of homicides where guns play a role have actually gone up. So what we're doing is making a difference, but as to your point, part of what my colleagues did when they decided to boycott the passing of our budget and the tax rate cut is they cut the budget for law enforcement by almost $100 million. So because they refused to participate, the DA's budget got cut around $5 million, the constables in total around $8 million, the sheriff lost over $16 million, a whole cadet class that's not going to be hired, initiatives that are not going to be able to continue. And so, there's no explanation other than they want to defund the police themselves and say that I was the one to do it. And my opponent never spoke out against that. And it's extreme politics.
So let me come back to another question. And I know you've already addressed this on a couple of occasions, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but the county budget is an issue. And it is one that as you bring up, that there are, because of the lack of quorum, that it's been difficult to, if not impossible, to pass a budget. So this inability to vote on the budget affects the tax rates. And the county is expecting to face economic challenges. Now, as county judge, how can you overcome the issue? You've talked about how the issues being a problem, but how do we overcome those? What is the step forward?
We need to remain focused on the work, right? Not on politics. This kind of politicization should have never happened. And I have a strong record of working in a bipartisan basis, not just bringing that $1 billion almost in flood money, but the vast majority of our votes on the commissioner's court are 5-0. I work with our mayors, Republicans and Democrats. We work on a bipartisan basis often, but at some point, you can't negotiate against a brick wall and you can't negotiate against extremism. And what we need are people on commissioner's court that are not going to have that kind of extremism. That budget vote is not the only thing. In 2021, so this is the League of Women Voters, voting is important. And I work to represent everyone in the community, whether they voted for me or not. And I hope that everyone comes out and votes, whether they're going to vote for me or not. If you're eligible, democracy depends on our participation. But the Harris County Commissioner's Court, and folks may not know this, we certify the votes, the canvas of the votes, kind of like what the Congress and Vice President Pence had to do that led to January 6th. In 2021, this wasn't even 2020, one of my colleagues, Commissioner Ramsey, refused to certify the canvas of the vote. My opponent said she wouldn't certify the canvas of the vote to an interview Channel 11 unless she had these, unless the county clerk runs the election. The county clerk doesn't run the election, and she knew that. And I want to point out, It wasn't until October 17th of 2022 that she finally said to a reporter, and she hadn't said this in public, hadn't had it on the record. She finally admitted that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. So this is a Harvard graduate. It took her the better part of 2 years to admit that Donald Trump lost the election. So we cannot have this kind of pandering, this kind of extreme politics, falsehoods floating around in a government that impacts the lives of so many people as county government does. And I may not have the $9 million that she's raised in 4 months because I'm not in anyone's pocket. I didn't have to sell my soul to raise my funds. But I think that the community sees past these kinds of tactics. And frankly, look, with that kind of extremism, it's going to be very hard to solve the challenges we face. That's what we saw in jurisdictions where leaders were pandering to conspiracy theorists and anti-vaccine folks when it came to COVID, where we focused on really the science and what we had to do. So it's a tough challenge, but I trust in this community. I hope everyone participates, and I appreciate the questions.
Well, Lina Hidalgo, thank you very much for your answers to our questions, and thank you for joining us here on the League of Women Voters Conversations with the Candidate show. Best wishes for your campaign, and good luck in the election.
Thank you so much.
That was a wonderful interview by Lina. So now we are joined by Jean Puris and Annie Bennefield, our president of the League of Women Voters Houston. So welcome you both to this segment of the show. And so Annie, is she here? No, we're not doing Annie?
Well, we'll get to her in a second.
Oh.
But let's go ahead and talk while we're waiting to get her queued up.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things. So I'm going to tell you, I
you
voted.
Had to do it.
And I got my sticker.
I saw you coming in with your props, and I was like, he really outdid me, y'all. He's got his World Series Astros cap on.
I'm ready.
And he's got his I voted sticker on top of the hat. Nobody told me that I could bring a prop today, so I don't have one. So I'm a little jealous, Jean. Annie,
you're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening, Jean and Michelle. You all did a wonderful job.
Oh, wait a minute. And now Annie has on her World Series shirt. I am so outdone. Nope, nobody gave me the memo.
Cover it up, but I wanted to root for the Astros. Go Stros!
Yay! Yay! So Annie, doing this segment of the show, tell us what's happening at the league. What are we doing? You have some surprising new information, and just share it.
I am just so excited. Being president of the League of Women Voters has been phenomenal since I became president on January 1st. We received this grant from the Houston Endowment, which has facilitated us being able to hire an executive director. The person will come on board. Katie Campbell-Shumway will come on board with the league on December 1st. As the first executive director the league has had in 10 years, so I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the work that we did in the community, doing voter registration, voter outreach, voter communication, and voter education. We partnered with the Houston Chronicle, and they printed the voter's guide. We printed 32,000, and we know for sure that over 30,000 of them are actually out in the community being circulated at churches, schools, the Harris County Public Library, the Houston Public Library. They're just everywhere. And recently, KPRC called me up, sent an email and said a woman called their station and wanted to know if she could get a voter guide. I called her. I said, you can get one at the Harris County Public Library, the Houston Public Library. She immediately did so. She called me back to let me know she got the guide, and she went out and voted that same day. So that's exciting news.
Very exciting. So many accomplishments. So I want to commend you on an awesome and phenomenal job that you are doing as our president of the League of Women Voters here in Houston.
Thank you.
And so it's been an amazing opportunity to share with you. I know that Gene has some things that he wants to chime in about too. So it's like we're on a roll right now.
Well, we often kind of the rundown of the list of the things that the league has been doing. This is really kind of crunch time for the league as well, because
Yes.
we're doing phone banking, we're participating, we're inviting candidates to come on, and I want to thank that Ms. Shumway was one of the hosts on one of the earlier conversations with the candidates.
Yes.
A few weeks ago. We had State Board of Education candidates come out and talk. We had people for Commissioner's Court, and of course the county judge, which is the big race. But on my ballot, there were like 102 questions. It took some time to go through everybody.
Yeah.
I got an email from a friend of mine. He's in Austin. He's in his 90s. And he had said, well, it wasn't just, I mean, it was to me, it was on Facebook, that, he had gone to try to vote, and there were problems with voting, and that he didn't have the right driver's license and blah, blah, blah. And I told him, because I know in our vote411.org and our League of Women Voters information, I sent him to those sites to find out more information.
Yeah.
Right.
This is awesome. Voter FYI. I like this. And so this was a good segue for you to mention that.
Right, because there's a lot on the ballot. We don't want people to get discouraged. Voting is a right, and it's one of the benefits of citizenship. There's a lot of people who are in our country as residents who don't have that privilege of voting and wish they could.
Right.
And a lot of times, those of us who are here don't take advantage of it. It's too much time, it's an inconvenience, or we feel that, it's not going to make a difference, but it does.
And I will share with you, Gene, that is a very true statement. And so I grew up in South Park, off Martin Luther King and 610, right on the other side of Sunnyside. And a lot of community residents feel that way. They feel, why should I vote? Because it just won't make a change. It won't make a difference. And so, me, I'm always talking, yes, it's going to make a difference. Yes, you have to go vote. And so I commend the league. I commend what you do here with the candidates and getting the word out. It is so very important that everybody understands their rights. And so I'm glad you mentioned that. And I was looking at this little prop here, and I say we need to do something else with this, because so many people don't realize that they do have rights as a voter. And I think if we, I know we're promoting, but I think sometimes in some of our communities, they need to know that more than in other communities. Everybody has rights, but I think that we need to share that. And so I was glad to see that too. Very important.
Annie, I know you've been busy. You are retired from your full-time job, but as a university professor, people make a lot of fun of us for, say, well, how much do you work? I work 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, right? It's like, well, that's not really working. It's like, well, there's a lot of thought goes into it. But as league president, you are busy.
Yeah.
That is probably an understatement. I think I've worked harder as president of the League of Women Voters than I worked in all my years in terms of academics, because it's nonstop. We are going simply from one election cycle to the next election cycle to the next election cycle. We had this huge Get Out to Vote rally a couple weeks ago, trying to get people excited and get them enthusiastic about going out to vote for the election that was going to start for early voting, which was October 24th. Apparently, our rally didn't generate as much enthusiasm, because I thought hundreds of thousands of people would automatically just go out and vote because of it, because we have more information and democracy is on the ballot. I continuously repeat this statement, that democracy is not a spectator sport where you simply go into the arena, sit in the bleachers, and watch events unfold, but rather it's a gladiator sport where you have to go in, get into the battle, and fight for the things that you want, such as voting rights, equality, justice, and that democracy is on the ballot. Every time we have an election, democracy is on the ballot, but even more so in 2022, that it is an opportunity for people to engage, to let their voices be heard, because elections have consequences. It determines public policy. It determines money and funding. It determines what happens in your neighborhood. It determines this flood control that the county judge just talked about in terms of accessing that funding. Many different things, rules and regulations that will help communities in varied ways. So the criminal justice system, in terms of bond, actually it's in the Constitution that you have a right to actually have bond. So we're having discussions about issues that are very, very important that are happening in the political process. And so the league is at the forefront of making sure that voters have voter education, that they're educated about the issues, they're educated about the candidate. So that's why conversations with the candidate, Michelle and Jean, that's so important. In our signature work, the voter's guide, that's the big kahuna that's out there that provides all of this fact-based, nonpartisan information to the public so they can make educated, informed decisions about. We're not telling you the league is nonpartisan. We're not telling you who to vote for. We simply want you to engage in the political process, because democracy cannot adequately function as it should unless each citizen is engaged in the political process and get a chance to have their say.
Annie, there's nothing else I can say after that, because I think you just said it all. But I do want to say thank you for that. But I also, while you were speaking, I said I forgot to commend her on the article in the Houston Defender. And so I was very proud to see our president in the magazine, or in the editorial. It was a very prestigious interview, I will say, because your power and your passion for the voters and the rights and all of what that brings, and the work that you do, your passion shows. And so I was reading the article, and I'm reading the article, and I'm thinking, I could just see Annie, just moving while she's talking, because that's Annie, right? Jean, that's Annie. And so it was a wonderful article. So I commend you for being that. And then not only that, they also spoke of you being the first Black president of the League of Women Voters in Houston. So you have set the standard, and whoever follows you, whoever that might be, have some big shoes to fill, because you are keeping us busy, and nobody can keep up except Jean.
Well, I cannot. I do want to say that we always use volunteers, and we love them. I'm not a paid. I'm volunteering.
I'm volunteering. Yes, I'm volunteering.
Annie's volunteering.
Everybody.
Annie, how do we get? If people are interested, they go, I'm interested in voting. I think, voting rights and voting is very important. I want an informed electorate. I want a responsible electorate. How do I join the League of Women Voters? What are some of the opportunities voters and volunteers can do?
lwvhouston.org. Go to lwvhouston.org. You can actually join the League of Women Voters. We have a membership committee. We have a fund development committee, which is responsible for helping to raise the revenue prior to the grant that we had. And the grant is only temporary. So we have some passionate, diehard people who are committed to public service, committed to service in terms of civic engagement. We have voter services. That is the huge part of what we do in terms of the league, that go out and we do voter registration. We do voter education under that umbrella. We have speaking events. We register voters, the voter services team, also the voters guide team, diehard committed volunteers who believe in the cause, who believe in a democratic system of government, and that every citizen has the right to engage in the political process. So come on down, join the League of Women Voters, help us do the work. It is so needed in our community to get people excited about participating in the political process. And like Jean and Michelle are committed volunteers who serve on the board for the League. We are very much dependent upon people who feel a passion for voter registration and democracy, and they commit their time, their talent, and their treasure in terms of furthering the League's cause. So I feel honored to be the president of an organization that has so many committed, passionate volunteers who believe in democracy and believe in the right that every citizen has to participate and engage and vote in the political process. As Abraham Lincoln said, the ballot is more powerful than the bullet. So we want to promote that, facilitate that, and give everybody the chance to do that by registering them and then educating them through the voter's guide so they can cast that ballot on election day. And next Tuesday, we will be partnering with KPRC in terms of the Election Day helpline, where we will be answering questions.
And we will also be working polls. I will not be at KPRC because I've been assigned to a polling location, so I'll be doing that.
Right.
But before I became a member and joined the League, I had no idea how this was produced, right? I had no idea what this meant. I'd seen it before, and as a registered voter, I was like, whoever does this is like an amazing kind of thing right here. And so it is the best tool that anybody could ever produce. And so every year the Houston League of Women Voters publishes its voter's guide. And that's what this is. Isn't it pretty? And so we ask all of the registered candidates on the local ballot questions. We ask them for a written response as well. The voter's guide is available. You can find a copy on our website, lwvhouston.org. And if you want a copy of this beautiful pamphlet, then you can send an email to votersguideorders@leagueofwomenvotershouston.org. votersguideorders@leagueofwomen, LWV. I always want to say League of Women Voters. So votersguideorders@lwvhouston.org. And so request your copy. So this is a tool that was created to empower us to have all of the information that we need about each of the candidates so that we can be prepared when we go to the polls. It was created for you. It was created for me. I use it. I want you all to use it. And the passion that has been used to facilitate this is amazing. And so you have to get your copy.
And make sure you mention it's in languages on the PDF online. It's in Chinese, Vietnamese, and Spanish language that they can access the digital version.
I was going to, but thank you. So I don't have to because Annie just told us that it is in various languages. That's why she's
I didn't want to miss the opportunity.
No. That's why she's the president. So it's in different languages. So please utilize this, and it can help be effective in the multi-languages. And that was a task in itself. So the translation.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So please use the voter's guide. And so you can also visit us on our Facebook page, League of Women Voters Houston, on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. We'd love to have you to follow us so that you can keep up with what's happening, what we're sharing, what's new in voting and the different policies and things like that. So I want to thank our president, Miss Annie, for being here. Annie Bennefield, Mr. Gene Pruitt, our resident theologian when it comes to voting. when it comes to voting. And so for the League of Women, for Houston League of Women Voters, I am Michelle Levi McDaniel. Thank you for watching Conversations with the Candidates on Houston Media Source TV. And so we hope that you enjoyed our time. And we look forward to seeing you soon on the next Conversations with Candidates.